For us, it's a daily thing.
It's every day, right?
This is Mammoth Daily
We're going to take you inside the locker room
with Mike Fulta.
We want this show to be about the fans, and we want this show to be driven by our Utah Mammoth community.
And Adrian Denny.
Fans can submit what they want to hear us talk about, what they want to hear Utah weigh in on. It's all going to be here.
Here's Mike and AD with you.
Utahns, countrymen, lend me your ears.
Right here on Mammoth Daily.
Good Tuesday to you, and it is a good Tuesday. The Mammoth made it right against Vegas on Monday night with a 5-1 win, but it wasn't quite that easy. We'll get to Mike's morning after coming up, and then we'll hear from head coach Andre Tourigny on the game, Karel Vejmelka on a season-high 33 saves, tying the most that he's made this year at a game, and Logan Cooley after a 5-point night. Adrian Denny with you. We'll get to Mike's morning after coming up as well, but want to thank you for joining us on Mammoth Daily, whether you're on Apple or Spotify. Thanks for checking us out. Make sure you subscribe to us and never miss an episode. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure it's the Utah Mammoth YouTube page. That will be our permanent home very soon. This will be our last full week on our Mammoth Daily YouTube page as we're migrating over to the Utah Mammoth YouTube page. I just want to make a note there. Don't want to leave anybody behind. And as always, thanks for watching. If you're on SEG Plus, we're glad to be there as well. But it was the Logan Cooley show on Tuesday night as he becomes the third player this year in the NHL to get 2 hat tricks, as Connor Bedard and Macklin Celebrini, the first 2 to do it in the National Hockey League. He becomes the first player this year to get 4 goals in a game. He becomes the second Utah player to get 5 points in a game, joining Clayton Keller from last season. And he becomes the first player 21 or under to get 4 goals in a game since Patrick Laine got 5 for the Winnipeg Jets back in 2018. So another big one for Logan Cooley, his second 4+ point game of the season. He had that 4-point game in St. Louis, and great to see the great performance from Logan, who just works so hard. He's competitive, and that is mostly positive. But if he goes period or a game or 2 games or 3 games without a point, 2, 3, 4, he pushes, and he pushes really hard. And head coach Andre Tourigny and the coaching staff have to reel him in and get him to simplify. And we'll hear from head coach Andre Tourigny coming up on Logan Cooley. But let's get to Mike's morning after. Let's hear from our buddy Mikey, who called a great one with Tyson Nash on Monday night as the Mammoth put up 5.
Welcome to your Mike's morning after a 5-1 win for the Utah Mammoth at home against the Vegas Golden Knights. A little bit of revenge for the Mountain Blue on our friendly rival across state lines. I think this is an easy game to get caught up in, and I don't want us to lose track of what's important. I don't want us to lose track of reality. 5-1 is not reality. They scored 2 empty netters. This was a close game all the way through. And even when there were a couple minutes left and Vegas was down 2, like, they were very much alive and right. And this is a team that had 34 shots on goal. Like, they were doing a lot of good things tonight, and they had a great push in the second period. They hit a post in the first period, or a crossbar. Like, this was not a 6-0 win like Utah saw against Vegas last year when the Golden Knights came out and just laid an egg. No. This was a totally different game where the Knights had a really good push all throughout the second period, but were also just themselves, which is a good team in the first and the third period as well. In this game, you saw Utah score a couple of those highlight reel goals, which we didn't see against New York. What were we saying against New York? Meat and potatoes hockey going right to the net. You saw that tonight. I don't know if we saw it to the extent we saw it against New York, but you saw some of that tonight. Mammoth just had some of their star players break loose and make plays that they're capable of making. It's not going to happen like that every night. There's not going to be space like that every night. You got to remember, too, Vegas still missing a couple key pieces. Aiden Hill, their goaltender. Mark Stone, big-time two-way winger. William Karlsson, their third-line center. So they're missing a lot of pieces still. I'm not trying to take anything away from Utah. I'm just trying to bring us back down to earth a little bit in the immediate aftermath of this game. I think there's a lot to be really happy about of this game. I thought the way that Utah got to loose pucks in the defensive zone was really good. And the one time that Utah didn't do it, it ended up in the back of their net. I thought Utah had some really good shifts from their fourth line, Stenlund, Tanev, Carcone. I thought they had some really good shifts in the third period to help swing momentum a little bit. And I thought Nate Schmidt continued a really good run for the Mammoth, where he had 2 assists tonight for the Mountain Blue, and now has a 5-game point streak, I believe, and is continuing to be a difference maker on the back end. And I've talked almost 3 minutes now into this video without even mentioning Logan Cooley, the guy who had 4 goals tonight. Now, 2 of them empty netters, but the biggest thing that stands out to me from Logan Cooley tonight was the fact that he was just on the ice and taking those faceoffs against Jack Eichel, against Tomas Hertl late in the third period when Utah needed defensive stops. Not when they needed highlight reel goals, but when they needed to win draws and when they needed to get pucks out. And it was Logan Cooley on the ice. A lot of times we see head coach Andre Tourigny just throw Kevin Stenlund out there in the D zone, let Stenny take the draw. He's your best faceoff man, and then we'll figure it out. Maybe Stenny comes for a change. Maybe he double shifts, whatever the case, or send Barrett Hayden out there to take the faceoff. But Andre Tourigny had Cooley out there in those situations, and I think that's hugely important for Cooley's development to continue to be out there in those defensive scenarios. Now, did he get the empty netters? Yes. That's what I think our fans are going to remember who were at that game, 4 goals. But Logan Cooley being able to be on the ice in a defensive scenario when you have to lock it down against the likes of Eichel and Marner and Hertl and all these guys, that's I think my big takeaway from the late stages where he was out on the ice. Now, he didn't necessarily win all those draws, but he has to be comfortable in those scenarios. And there's going to come moments throughout the season as we go down the stretch of the season where we're going to be in playoff style games, Utah battling for positioning, and Cooley's going to have to take some faceoffs, and he's going to have to be the true number 1 centerman in those situations matched up against other teams' top lines. That's the other thing against Vegas here tonight. There's nowhere to hide. Like that Eichel line with Bowman and Barbashev, it's fantastic. They've been fantastic at 5-on-5. Bowman's a player. They got something there. But then they go off, and it's Hertl out there with Dorofeev and Marner, which you look at the under the hood numbers, the 5-on-5 expected goal numbers. That's been one of the best lines in the NHL since they've been put together, and they split up Eichel and Marner. But there's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to hide if you're Logan Cooley or Dylan Guenther. You got to go and match up against their top guys, and I thought they did that well tonight. And obviously Cooley has the 4 goals, and that's the headline. But there's so many other little points tonight that stand out to me. And this is one of Utah's signature wins. This is a signature win of the year, maybe one of the best ones, and it comes on the heels of another good performance against New York, but being able to replicate it in a sense here tonight against a Vegas team that's one of the best in the NHL. It says a lot about this group, and you should be excited if you're a fan. You should absolutely be excited. I started the video off a little negatively just because I want us to be grounded, because we gotta gear up and go against a good Montreal team on Wednesday. We'll turn the page at midnight. A lot of good things. It's not going to be like this every time. where you get the bounces and where you get the odd man rushes and you get the breakaways and Eichel mishandles a puck. Doesn't happen every time. Doesn't happen a lot. But you have to be good enough to take advantage when it does, and Utah was that and more tonight against Vegas. 4 goals for Logan Cooley, history made, and a whole lot of fun had at the Delta Center.
It was a game where the Mammoth out-Vegased Vegas. Watching that game, Utah gave up 34 shots, but they blocked a lot of shots too, and they were on every loose puck in front of Vejmelka that he did not have covered up. No second chances for Vegas. Utah was tenacious on top of everything, and Vegas brought it. This was a 2-1 hockey game for 18 minutes and 55 seconds, in which Utah had to kill a big penalty that Vegas got 6 shots on. Vegas entered the game, one of the hottest power plays in the NHL, and they were 7 for their last 17. Utah killed that penalty to keep it a 2-1 game. And there was adversity in that stretch of 18 minutes and 55 seconds that Utah led 2-1, starting with the first goal that Vegas scored, which was, I don't know how to describe it other than it wasn't Utah's best in the D zone. There were 5 guys in front of the net, and everybody was completely turned around, and Utah didn't let that shake them. Vegas had been a team in the previous 2 games. Their first 2 goals, they got them in quick succession. 2 goals in 19 seconds against the Mammoth, of course, on Thursday to make a scoreless game 2-0, and a scoreless game 2-0, but 2 goals in less than 4 minutes against Anaheim on Saturday. When they've gotten 1, they've gotten 2, and Utah shut them down. The Utah penalty kill is really elite right now. They haven't allowed a power play goal in regulation. They haven't allowed a 5-on-4 power play goal in November. The only power play goal they allowed was the 4-on-3 power play goal in San Jose last Tuesday. They have gone 12 games in November without allowing a power play goal, 5-on-4 and in regulation, and they've played 2 of the best power plays in the last 2 games. Told you about Vegas. The Rangers had the best power play in the NHL going back to November 8th. So Mammoth out Vegas in this one, and the kids were going. Dylan Guenther got the scoring started after Nate Schmidt laid down a hit, but those of you on YouTube watch Cooley with this beautiful drop pass to Guenther, who roofed it, getting his 9th. That tied him with Cooley and Peterka for second on the team for the time being, before Logan Cooley got one, his first of 4, and his first of 4 straight for Utah. Nice centering pass from Dylan Guenther right there. That tied Cooley with Nick Schmaltz for the team lead, and he now has a 3-goal lead on Nick Schmaltz now for the team lead, up to 13. And a lot of skill on display in this game, but there was so much more than that for Utah. We talked about the PK. We talked about how stingy they were in front of the net. How about the composure? Up 2-1 and killing a penalty and just hanging tough. And Vejmelka making saves. Stopped 33 of 34, his 10th win of the year. So everything that went sideways for the Mammoth on Thursday has got reset. Momentum situations, 2 goals in 1 minute and 17 seconds. Second fastest 2 goals this year for Utah. They had 2 goals in 64 seconds in that big game at Winnipeg on October 26th. Composure, 2-1 lead. Doing a good job staying out of the penalty box, but you talk about what a difference 96 hours makes. We saw at Delta Center, and stick taps to the Mammoth for getting it reset. I said on Friday's episode, it's hard right now Nobody wants to hear this. Sounds cheesy. I think what happened Thursday was a positive. And we felt it Friday. We're like, ooh, that was good practice. Good vibes after that one. Guys are still upset, but you like the practice. You could tell Bear was happy with how the guys responded. And they came out, beat the Rangers, and beat Vegas in what I compared to Game 2 of a playoff series. When you go into Game 1, get slapped in the face. A little bit of a shocker, but it's hockey. You can regroup. You can get going. And it was all business for the Mammoth in the 5-1 win over Vegas on Monday night to start off the week. Let's hear from Head Coach Andre Tourigny, starting with just the game the Mammoth played against Vegas on Monday night.
Obviously, in the second, they had a hell of a push. Like I said, they're a good team. They're Stanley Cup contender for a reason. So we knew they have a say in what will happen out there. But the intensity, the urgency we had in those situations, and the way we protect the net front, even if we were not perfect, even if there's a number of things we would like to get better at, and we will. I think the mindset is always the most important thing, and I think the guys were really good. And the way they regrouped in the third, we were even more solid. We were composed, we were intense, but we were even killed. That was really good.
Getting through that second period was absolutely huge, and you kill the penalty. But for me, I'm thinking just get to the buzzer here. Final 2-3 minutes of the period, I'm thinking just get to the buzzer with a lead, get to the locker room, regroup, come back out, and take it in the final 20 minutes. Vegas outshot Utah 16-4 in that second period. It's the most dominated Utah's been in a period since Edmonton, with Utah leading 2-0. Had that 5-goal period on October 28th to snap Utah's 7-game winning streak. And they got 5 in that period. They led 5-3 after 40 game that was 2-0. So that's how things can unravel when a team's bringing it. But when your goalie's making saves, you're playing hard in front of him, and your PKs lock solid, you're going to find ways to do what Utah did. How about this stat against Vegas? And you talk about growing and evolving. Utah in 4 of the 5 games against Vegas Golden Knights that they played all time has had a 2-0 lead. The first 2 times, didn't win. Lost 1 in overtime, lost 1 in regulation. Last 2, 6-0 and 5-1 wins. And as Mike cautioned us, 2 empty net goals. This was a 2-1 game for 18 minutes and 55 seconds, a 3-1 game for 14 minutes and 36 seconds. It was a good hockey game. And Vegas was in it. And as Bear told us at morning skate on Mondays, like, both teams play well. It's probably going to be a 1-goal game. You're going to see a team pull a goalie and try and score. But it was a 2-goal game, pulled the goalie, and Mammoth were able to take it. Let's get back to Logan Cooley. Let's hear from Bear on number 92, the hottest 21-year-old in the NHL right now.
Less is more. He didn't complicate his game. He didn't try to get on the play of the week. He will be on the play in the week because he scored 4. But it was speed, simple, space behind, and when he does that, he's special.
So what Bear tries to get him to do, especially when he's pushing so hard, it's just not coming because he's just going. He goes so hard. He takes everything so personal, and he tries to use his talent to chase. And you don't need to chase. Just be simple. You'll get your highlight plays as they come. Here's Logan Cooley after the game, just talking about the reception that he got from his teammates and the win as a whole.
Yeah, it's awesome. Anytime you can do that, it's special. But just see how excited the guys were for me too. You get a cool feeling when you get the support of your teammates, and I just think in general we have such a tight group. Guys really care about each other and want everyone on the team to have success. So it's awesome. It's a long season. I think the big thing is consistency, and that's something that, for me personally, I'm always trying to work on. Like you said, it wasn't the easiest path to tonight, but I think just finding a way to stay with it. It's a grind of a season, mentally, physically, but I think just, leaning on guys that have experience, family, little things like that get you out of it. And, I was fortunate enough to, kind of a big game tonight.
He's just such an easy guy to root for. He's such a good person. And we've talked about what a big heart that he has. And not just in hockey, but how he treats people and, it's how important his family is to him and how great they are and supporting him and his teammates. And it really makes you feel good every time Logan Cooley has a game like that, and starting the 8-year contract next year, many more to come for the Utah Mammoth. What about Karel Vejmelka? Stop 33, 34 boy. Was he dialed in? And he stopped 20 of 22 against the Rangers, 33 of 34 against Vegas. Veggie putting up some good stuff against a couple heavy teams that bring it. But as you see with Vegas, when you're strong defensively, as they were on Thursday, just makes everything so much easier. When you're tenacious in front of the net, when you're scooping up pucks and there's no second chances, and when pucks aren't rolling around and in the crease, and then you got a goalie who's making the first save, it's going to be a good ride for you. Let's hear from Karel Vejmelka after the game on Monday.
I think we had a really good pre-scout before the game. Our coaching staff did a really good job, and it's really helpful for everybody. If you already know what they have tendency to do, and it's easier now for us to figure it out because we play against those guys a couple of days ago. So we did a good job, and we play simple. So it was a big key for us. We are a really good team, and if we want to be successful, we need to find a way every night, and it's part of the NHL, to be one of the best teams. So we need to find a way every single night, no matter what, and we did it tonight. We show up, and it feels, like I said, it feels really good.
So a couple wins in a row for the Mammoth, within 1 point of Red Hot Minnesota, who's now won 5 straight games for third place in the Central, but holding on to the wild card spot with the Vegas Golden Knights on Tuesday as we enter today. They've got the tiebreaker over everybody below them in the standings as well. So on to Montreal, 7:30 on Wednesday night. Another second chance for Utah. I talked about it in my Monday morning power play in yesterday's episode. The first of 4 second chances for the Mammoth over the next 10 days. And so far this year, getting a second chance against an opponent, beat Colorado, and now they beat the Vegas Golden Knights. Hope your Tuesday is off to a great start with a Mammoth victory. That definitely helps, doesn't it? We'll come back. We've got our Tuesday mailbag. We've got some fun stuff to talk about, a couple video messages. We've got a couple video responses. We'll hear from JJ Peterka and Andre Tourigny answering some questions, and then fun third segment, fun third period coming up. Me and Mike will preview our Friendsgiving for our broadcast team at Dominic Moore's house. So you don't want to miss that. Stay tuned, folks. We're having fun on a Tuesday after a Mammoth 5-1 victory here on Mammoth Daily.
It's time for the Tuesday Mailbag.
It's that time of the week. It is our Tuesday mailbag. Always one of my favorite parts of my day. That walk to the mailbox, Adrian. You stroll down, you see what arrived today. What do we have in there?
You know what, Mikey? I have a service from the U.S. Postal Service. When I moved back to Utah last fall, I was forwarding mail and all that stuff that you do when you move. And it's like, do you want, I don't know what the service is called, but it's free. Do you want to see the mail you're getting before you get it? So every morning at 7:25, if I'm getting mail, I get an email from the Postal Service, and it has a picture of every single thing that I'm getting. And it's not great. It's definitely something I wish I wouldn't have done, because I'll see that I'm getting a letter from the Utah Department of Public Safety, and then I'll go to practice and I'll be like freaking out, like, why are the cops contacting me? Or
Again.
you're getting something from something you don't recognize, and you're like, was my identity stolen? And it totally freaks you out. However, today, Mike, I get my email and it says who I'm getting a check from, and getting a check in the mail today. So that's going to be a good chunk of change when I get back after our Thanksgiving at Dom's house. Yes.
Why? Yeah. Why is our Mammoth Daily check not arriving at my place too?
Oh,
are you stealing my check, Adrian?
Oh, it's not that, Mike. It's something else. Something else entirely.
All right.
Yeah. But that's the service. This is the only time it's ever worked out for me, right? You're getting a letter from the IRS, the HOA, the property management company in Arizona. Like, you're like, what is going on? What is this now? Like, I can't take it. So I should cancel it, but you can never look away from a car accident, can you?
Well, what has the service provided us today on the mailbag? What does that picture say today?
We got a video from Dawn.
Yes.
Here's Dawn leading us off on our Tuesday mailbag, letter number 1.
Just a quick question for the Tuesday mailbag. So it seems to me like in our losses, our offensive production hasn't actually been that bad. Like, we're putting a lot of shots on goal, and they're good shots and good opportunities, but we're having a string of goalies playing better than their usual against us. And I don't know if this is right. I could be up in the night, but that's what it feels like. It feels like the effort's good, the opportunities are good, but we're not getting the 3 goals that we need in order for us to win. And so I'm wondering, one, am I crazy? Is this a thing? Are the goalies that we've played against in our losses having better days than their average? But 2, is there something about how we shoot, about our finishing that makes it so that we are a type of team that can happen against? I think it's probably 1. I'm probably just, Homer fan who's seeing something that isn't there because I don't watch enough of their games. But it just seems like, these goalies aren't anything special, but they're having some amazing games against us, and that's a big part of why we've lost the games we've lost. Let me know. Excited to hear from you. Thanks so much for the show.
Wow, thank you, Don, and thank you for keeping your eyes on the road while driving. Any lack of vehicular safety will not make it onto Mammoth Daily and make it into our mailbag. But Don had his eyes on the road the whole time, so thank you, Don. It's a good point, because you think that there have been some goalies that have played really well against Utah. Devin Cooley for the Calgary Flames was one that comes to mind. David Riddick had a good night for the New York Islanders. To me, the first thing that pops into my head, Adrian, is to try and explain this away, is that Utah's been going to the net, but they haven't always gone to the net with purpose and with the right mindset. And you see a lot of shots that don't get tipped. You see a lot of shots that don't carry them around. Utah not getting to that loose puck, and the Mammoth have bodies around the net. But what did we hear from Ian Cole and Andre Tourigny after Thursday's loss against Vegas? We need to start putting words into action. And then you saw the Mammoth start to get some greasy goals against the New York Rangers back on Saturday night. And so I think having a better drive to the net, where we're not just going to the net for the sake of going to the net, but we're going to the net with a little bit of snarl and with the willingness to do anything to get your stick on a puck or to create havoc in front of a goaltender. So I think a better net drive is going to drive those opponents' save percentages down.
Yeah, and Wednesday was the key example. I'm sorry, Saturday was the key example for the Mammoth in doing exactly what you're talking about, Mike, and that's going to those hard areas, right? It's not working hard, it's playing hard in those hard areas, and JJ Peterka was a big part of that. He set the tone, got the scoring started for the Mammoth to give them a 1-0 lead. And we got a great answer from JJ too, just like from a player's standpoint. What does it take, right, to stop the goalie from looking like a star every night?
Yeah. Competing harder. I think that was kind of like the message over the last couple of days. We kind of got a little away with that for the last couple of games, and I think today we did a much better job just getting in shooting lane, getting a screen, getting second chances, so that kind of like gave us the win. I think just keeping it simple. I think that kind of was the message for the game, and turned out to be good. Just a lot of pucks to the net, a lot of second efforts to the net, and that won us the game.
All right. Thank you to JJ. Thank you to Dom. Good response there from one of Utah's hottest goal scorers.
Yeah, great question from Don. And for those of you on YouTube seeing JJ Peterka after the game Saturday without his shirt on, Mike, not wearing a shirt. I said, I could do the podcast without a shirt on. JJ does the post-game interviews without a shirt on. Maybe something to consider there.
That is a last-ditch attempt to gain subscribers and views, Adrian. I don't think we are at that level yet. As our following has continued to grow, we do not need to shed our clothes. I think that would mean that's what I equate to changing goaltenders. You're down 3-0 at the end of one period, and you change a goaltender just to mix things up. That's what us going shirtless on the pod would be.
All right, we'll stick with polos and hoodies moving forward as we do. It seems to get the job done. Here's one. Here's one coming in. It comes to us from the Friendly Cyclist. Thanks for all you guys do. You do a great job. Thank you for all the insight. And his question is, what are your thoughts about the quality of chances our goaltenders face? Says it seems like we're giving up too many high danger opportunities. That's a great question, Mike, and it's another thing that we've talked a lot about. And in fact, we got another video question from Don, and that's one way to make it on the podcast twice, Mike, is submit us 2 video questions. And Dom, still in his vehicle, had a similar question. We'll answer both Friendly Cyclist and Don right here.
So I've just pulled into my driveway from driving, and I have an additional question for the Tuesday mailbag that's sort of an opposite of the question I just asked. Our defense has done a really great job of blocking shots. We've had multiple games where we've had, shots on goals in the teens, but we've also had some of those games turn out to be losses. And that makes me wonder, is there something behind a team that doesn't allow a whole lot of shots on the net being a disservice to your goalie? Like, if they don't see that many shots, does that make it harder for them to save the shots that they do see? Is that a thing? Or am I up in the night on that?
Gosh, Mike, great stuff there. Like scoring goals and then making saves. What does it take? And 2 great questions from Don and the Friendly Cyclist, and we appreciate Friendly Cyclists everywhere we go. So glad we've got one that listens to the show. But that's success in hockey, going to the hard areas to score and giving your goalie the best situations possible to be in. And we talked to head coach Andre Tourigny about that, and here he is on goaltending and specifically Mammoth goaltenders so far.
It's always, again, half full, half empty. You can look at it. If you look the number of shots we're giving per game, we're not giving a lot. So the margin of error for our goalie is really small. If you look at Vanecek last game, he's 2 goals out of 21 shot. Pretty good. In overtime, 22nd shot puck go in. Now, you look at save percentage, no good. Wow. If the game finished in 60 minutes, we say he has a good game. When you give 20, 21, 22 shot a game, goalie doesn't have a lot of mulligan. So we're putting them in that kind of a situation. We need to keep improving the quality of chance we gave. So we give them a chance to improve shooting percentage. That is one way to look at it. The other way we look at it is when the game is on the line, do they give you a chance? At big moment, they need to come up big. And yesterday, or last game, you understand, we had a moment where we were down 2-0 and V made 2 really key saves. If he doesn't make those saves, now it's 3-0, maybe 4-0. Now we're in trouble. Instead of that, he kept us there, and we scored the 2 goals, and we came back and we got a point. So we can look at it and say, save percentage in that game is below 900. Or we can say, without him, we don't get a point. So depends about how you want to look at it. If the glass is half empty or is half full. If it's half full, without him, we don't get a point. If it's half empty, it's below 900. I think he came up big at key moment.
Yeah, and I think, Utah allows the fewest shots on goal in the league. They allow 24 per game. And so there is something to be said, definitely, for a goaltender seeing rubber and being in rhythm, so long as you keep saving those shots. There's something to be said for that for sure, but you can't realistically go into a room and say, hey guys, the game plan is to give up 35 shots on goal tonight. That's never going to be the case. I think Utah's used their team speed to defend pretty well to this point. I think Utah's defended its own net pretty well for the most part, not giving up a lot of rebound opportunities. I think Karel Vejmelka had a couple tough games. He gave up a bad goal against Tampa Bay that proved to be the game-winning goal. He gave up 2 that I think he'd want back against the Montreal Canadiens. And I didn't think it was Vanacek against Ottawa. I didn't think Vanacek was at his best against the Senators. That all came within like a 4 or 5 game window. And so those were a couple tough showings. Since then, I think these guys have continued, both goalies have continued to make big saves in big moments. And because Utah's not allowing a lot of shots, they're only saving 1 out of every 9 right now instead of 1 out of every 10. That's what it comes down to. You're seeing 24 shots and you're allowing 2 or 3. And a lot of times that third, as we saw for 3 straight games, that third goal you were giving up was in 3-on-3 overtime, which is a save percentage's worst enemy. So keep all of that in perspective. I think if Utah continues to allow this low volume of shots, that save percentage is going to kind of continue to hover just under 900, simply because it's harder to get a lot of those easy saves when you're not seeing those casual shots.
And Bear did tell us last week Utah's allowed more high danger shots or high danger chances than they typically have, even compared to last year. So friendly cyclist, right on the money there. But exactly, Mike, the stretch, there was 4 straight games where Utah went 1-0-3, where their save percentage in regulation was over 900, and then you have a 4-on-3 power play, 3-on-3 situations. Good way to make it go down. But yeah, you'd love to keep allowing the fewest shots in the league, and Utah hasn't shown any signs that that's relenting. Let's get to a letter here from Paula. She checks in. She says, I've wondered, when the team is away or teams come here, what's the practice situation like? Do they get to work out, practice, have a morning skate, and where? What's the process? Thanks, guys. Love the show. Go Mammoth. Thanks, Paula. Thanks for checking in, as always. Yeah, Mike, anytime a team is in town here, we are more than excited to show off our Southtown practice and training facility. The Buffalo Sabres, I think, got to go to it twice a couple of weeks ago because they were on a long trip. But that's how would you say it's growing the game in Utah in more ways than one when we bring in visiting teams to Southtown.
Yeah, Utah wants as many teams to see that practice facility as possible so you can show the other players of the other team, look at what we've got. But typically, teams will practice or skate at the Delta Center, especially for a morning skate, because all the teams stay at a hotel downtown. Doesn't make sense for them to bus to Sandy when they could just skate at the Utah game rink at the Delta Center. A lot of teams will also, most teams, pretty much every team, will bring workout equipment with them. They're not bringing plates and barbells and things like that, but they're bringing bands and things like that. In these arenas, also, there are typically workout areas where the host team will have some workout equipment set up that the visiting team can use when they're in town. And again, this could be some light weights, some medicine balls, some mats, some bands, a place to do pull-ups, things like that. But that's all pretty standard. So yes, these guys are working out on the road with the equipment that their own team brings and with the equipment that may be left for them by a host team.
And on a back-to-back, Mike, there's nothing better than a hotel ballroom. If the team isn't going to be going down to the rink for a morning skate, go up to the front desk and say, hey, do you have a room we could borrow? Of course, in the NHL, that stuff is all handled well in advance. In the summer, you get the ballroom as part of your stay. But we've turned ballrooms into gyms and all sorts of stuff like that for walkthroughs and stretching and jumping jacks and all that stuff. You know me, Mike, when I start rattling off all the stuff these guys, jumping jacks and push-ups, and it's my element, baby. All right. You want to get to a final video question here? Yeah. Our old buddy Woody had a question for us.
Yeah.
A first time in history, Mike Folta hosts a mailbag question here.
So, Mike, I can't remember what I had for lunch half the time. What do you go through to memorize all of these players, to pronounce their names correctly?
Sometimes.
And just not trip over, and I've from 22 to 12, whatever. It's amazing that you can put your mind through that and train yourself. How do you do that?
Well, great question from our good friend Woody. And if you couldn't hear very well, he was asking, how do we on the broadcast keep track of everybody, basically? And Adrian, I think I've mentioned this before on the radio and maybe on here too, but in the minor leagues and a little bit here in the NHL, I used to just look at a sheet. Like, this is an example of one of the sheets I have in front of me, like the board I have, all the players are listed out. And I would go one by one and keep adding it to this cumulative list. And I would just say it over and over again. I would say 2, Olli Maatta. 6, John Marino. 2, Olli Maatta. 8, Nick Schmaltz. 6, John Marino. 2, Olli Maatta. And go down the list until I just had everybody memorized. But what helps about the NHL is that there's less turnover than the minors, where there's 3 guys that are on the team from one year that carry over from one year to the next. And so it's a little bit easier in the NHL. These guys are more recognizable because they've been in the league typically longer. But during warmups, you will see me muttering to myself, and all I'm doing is looking at the players on the ice and saying their name. And that way I am practicing, there goes Kevin Stenlund, there goes Dylan Guenther, there goes Jack McBain. And it looks like I'm muttering some incantation, but I'm really just practicing looking at a player and saying their name. And then eventually you remember certain things, like Mikhail Sergachev has a white stick. JJ Peterka has his sleeves rolled up. Clayton Keller's jersey is tucked into the back of his pants. You notice things like that, and that helps you identify players when you can't see their number.
Yeah, and from my standpoint, Mike, tried all of that stuff when I was doing play-by-play, and I would just, I'd have my roster in front of me, game would start, and I'd get into it in the game. And the memorization was joking with Kim Becker from Hockey Night in Utah on TV earlier this week about, attention spans and schoolwork and stuff like that. And for me, it just, the game would start and you'd see the forward lines, you'd see the D pairings, and you'd get into it with the game. So everybody's got their own style and boards and stuff like that. I'm probably the only person ever that just had to start it with the game. Knew who was playing, knew the players, knew, the basic numbers. You see teams before, but I couldn't do the name and number thing till the game started. Same with pronunciations. You go through it, then the game starts, you're talking 100 miles an hour. You just kind of have to, for me, walk my way into the pronunciation. I would phonetically spell out every name that I thought might be an issue, and I would just literally hold up the sheet and read it, the 4 syllables right there on the air, because the practice didn't help me. So
Adrian, I wish I was as talented as you and I didn't have to practice, but I very much
because the practice didn't work. I'm like, wasting my time here. I can do something else.
That is valuable for me. And because you see, last year Edmonton had 28 Connor Brown and 29 Leon Draisaitl. Even though one's a righty, one's a lefty, when they're going that fast, it's hard to tell when you're calling a game in Edmonton and you're a million miles away and you could barely see who's who. You could barely see you could barely make out the numbers. It gets pretty tough sometimes. But a great mailbag, AD.
Fun mailbag.
That was
fun
awesome.
Mailbag. Yeah. Thanks to everybody for chiming in. Mike, we have got to get to Dom's house for our Friendsgiving with our Utah Mammoth broadcast team. And you've seen those things on the internet, like whose table are you sitting at lunch? We're going to do something similar when we continue right after this on Mammoth Daily.
This is Mammoth Daily.
Time for our third period on this Tuesday Mailbag Edition of Mammoth Daily. Thanksgiving just a couple of days away. Hope all of you out there, our day-to-dayers, are able to spend it with your family and those that you hold dear and give thanks around a cornucopia of harvest treats and down-home hearty foods. Adrian, we're having a little celebration with our Hockey Night in Utah broadcast team, and everybody is charged with bringing something to the table for this Thanksgiving that we're celebrating here in a couple hours, a couple days ahead of time, because we're going to be in Dallas for Thanksgiving traveling. But Adrian, are we running down who's bringing what, or are we guessing, or how you want to do this here?
Yeah, let's start with ourselves, what we're bringing, and then we'll just tell what everybody else is bringing. Mike?
I don't remember what you're bringing. Can I guess? Because I promise you, I don't know.
Oh, you can guess, Mike, because I kept it very vague in the text because I had no idea at the time.
You're not bringing a dessert? Because we have plenty of dessert already.
Correct. Nick and Matt McConnell are bringing desserts.
Are you bringing Santorini's?
It's a great guess, Mike. I'm going to bring an appetizer. It's what I signed up for. I said, I'll bring an appetizer. And Dom, if there's anything that you think we're a little light on that you want me to do, just let me know.
That is very vague. Do you know what appetizer, though?
I sure do, Mike. I sure do now.
Cranberry sauce.
No. I am going to call up our friends over at Slackwater Pizza right next door to the practice rink. And I am going to order a couple of Thanksgiving dinner pizzas.
Adrian, pizza's like the least Thanksgiving food of all time.
Listen to this pizza, Mike. I said I'm going to bring an appetizer. It's a Thanksgiving dinner. I'm bringing an appetizer. Pizza? We start with our turkey gravy as the base, and then add in our roasted turkey breast, mashed Yukon Gold potatoes, herb stuffing, and 3 cheese blend. Then this pizza is garnished with a drizzle of spicy cranberry sauce and chives. Does that not sound incredible?
It sounds amazing. I'm not arguing that. It sounds incredible. It's just when the forebears of our great nation came over and landed at Plymouth Rock and they celebrated their first winter at Jamestown, I'm sure the first thing they thought of when they were gathering around the spoils of harvest was, oh yeah, let's fire up a pizza.
The Thanksgiving dinner pizza. I thought it'd be a great appy. Put it out.
It'll be great. No, I think it's gonna be a big hit. I am. That's so funny. I am a I am passionate about Thanksgiving food. It's the best holiday. It is. And I always grew up with amazing Thanksgiving food. My mother's an incredible cook. My grandmother was an incredible cook. She would make these homemade noodles that were just unbelievable. And all the food was hearty and it came from the heart. And I look at like who's bringing what on our broadcast team, and it looks like a 12-year-old laser tag birthday party dinner. Adrian's bringing pizza. We got Nick Olchek who's bringing dessert. Matt is also bringing dessert. Like, is anyone bringing real food to this thing? Is anyone going to bring real Thanksgiving food? I am bringing mashed potatoes and green bean casserole, and not just any mashed potatoes. This is my mother's recipe, and I've I won't say I've perfected these recipes, but I've made them before. I know how to do it, and they're gonna be delicious. But that's Thanksgiving food right there, not dessert. Come on, people.
Did you say Kim and her beef chili?
No, that's Thanksgiving food right there.
Yeah.
That's like a pre-Thanksgiving food. That's like you just did the turkey trot in the morning and you're looking for something to eat at like 10:30 before you have dinner later, and so you fire up the chili. I'm excited for that.
How about Will Trubshar, producer of Hockey Night in Utah on the radio? Will is going to bring candied sweet potatoes, his mom's recipe.
A+, Will. That's a good Midwestern boy who knows what Thanksgiving is all about right there.
Sarah Merrifield, stuffing and salad. Stuffing is my favorite part of the Thanksgiving dinner. So thank goodness Sarah has that covered.
Good job,
How about
Sarah?
Adam Hill, our pregame and postgame producer on TV? Adam chimed in and said, y'all don't want me cooking, so I'll bring dinner rolls and beer.
A+, Adam. Both also Thanksgiving staples. A good dinner roll can prime your palate for Thanksgiving like nothing else. But woe to him who loads up on dinner rolls and does not leave enough space. Adrian, I like to put my mashed potatoes on top of the dinner roll, and that way, or dip the roll in the mashed potatoes. It's delightful.
So Dom and Mary are going to take a look at this inventory list and then fill it in with what else they deem we need, because they're our hosts and they're classy and they can put on a party. Our boss Craig and his wife Kimberly, they're bringing ham. That will be outstanding. So
yeah, not
have a great time.
not anti ham, but just want to make sure we respect the turkey. I mean, this is Thanksgiving after all. We need a turkey. My Uncle Rob used to we used to deep fry a turkey. He probably still does. And when you deep fry a turkey, it can go very wrong. Like if you do it the wrong way, like this is very flammable grease you're working with. But it takes hours. I mean, so you're just sitting outside in the cold, probably got football on the TV, cooking this turkey, and there is nothing better. That is just it's story time. It's literally a hot stove, and you get a delicious turkey at the end of it.
Thanksgiving might be my favorite meal of the year. I love it. I get 3 helpings of dessert. I get, seconds and thirds, and it's a cheat day. So I love Thanksgiving. I love the whole meal. I love it all.
I love it too. I never thought of Thanksgiving as much of a dessert holiday. Like I have a ton of Christmas cookies, but like I never had room for dessert.
It's kind of a pumpkin pie, pecan pie, peanut butter pie thing.
Yeah.
And whatever Nick and Maddie bring us, we'll love it.
I can't wait. Maybe I'm not holding out for any like homemade apple pie. Might be like some cosmic brownies or some Toll House cookies or something. But I guarantee you that the oven is not being turned on by any of them.
Wouldn't know how to help him do that, Mike. Myself wouldn't be of any help. So can't.
But it's going to be awesome. Thank you to Dom and Mary Moore for hosting us, and we hope that all of you out there get to spend time with family and loved ones for your Thanksgiving celebrations as well. But AD, that's a good way to wrap up our Tuesday episode of Mammoth Daily. We'll see everybody back tomorrow when Utah takes on the Montreal Canadiens at the Delta Center, and we'll have our Wednesday Odd Man Rush interview up and ready as well. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thank you for everyone who submitted to our Tuesday mailbag, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.